You didn't see me knock over something. It's like, oh, we're starting the show. And I'm knocking stuff over on my desk. How's everybody doing? So for some people, so I worked at the Martin Agency for a year. And everyone's like, boo. Really like the Martin Agency people. And of course, Geico. And then you start asking people what their favorite Geico ad is. And a lot of people say Hump Day. So it is Hump Day. And you know what? Being an old radio guy, both experience and age, yeah, you get the wacky. 107.5, the Razor. It's Hump Day, baby. Here's 3 from Creedence Clearwater Revival. We are going to bring back radio, though. Still working on some stuff on the back end of that. So stay tuned. Things I do want to talk to you about, however. The Indie Agency News Leadership Summit coming to Chicago April 15th. We are feverishly working behind the scenes to get everything set up on that. Thank you to Arima for the hookup on this. They are our title sponsors. So they're going to be there, and it's, to all of our preferred partners, thank you so much for supporting this mission. The brief on Indie Agency News is build the home for independent agencies. The mission, serve independent agencies and the brilliant people behind them. The goal, more visibility for indies, more choice for marketers. Arima, can't thank you enough for that. We got a great keynote. Marketer from Kohler, Anthony Reeves. He's Uzzy, oi, oi, oi. Blood, Sweat, and Tears, hooking up that break. Path Labs on session 4, where agencies are placing their bets. And then we got our show off happy hour. It is a little bit of the OG happy hour that we do. That's courtesy of Goodway Group. So early registration ends this week. So get in on it. And I'm going to bring our guest in here. But before we do that. Okay, so we're both Italian. So Mike. Buonasera.
Yeah. You found my parents' wedding song. How did you do that? How did you find that? Yeah.
So my big joke used to be, so I don't drink anymore, but when I did, boy. So my joke was, it was called an Italian wedding pour. So it was vodka tonic. So there you go.
I still drink, and that is exactly how I
there you go. Yeah, exactly. So do you even do people call you Mikey?
So it's actually a really funny story. That is what I've been called my whole life. And then when I got out of college, I was interviewing. I interviewed someone at RGA, and I introduced myself as Mikey, and I don't remember who it was. And she was like, don't call yourself that. And since then, it stuck with me. It was like one of those brain tattoos. And I was like, all right, that's it. It's over. So Michael, Mike, whatever you'd like. But you can call me Mikey.
You're always going to be Mikey to me.
Yeah.
Yeah. I don't even know what my mafia name would be. And I just watched the Philadelphia Mafia thing. That was nuts.
I haven't seen that yet.
Oh, yeah. Young man.
Yeah.
Some crazy ass shit going on.
Sure.
Yeah. Because Philly people, my family's from South Jersey. And so if you say you got to say you're from South Jersey, because people from Philadelphia, they're like, you're not from Philly. You're from South
they don't claim you. Yeah.
They're like, eh. And then I complain because it's like, yeah. And then you all post up down in Wildwood during the summer down the shore. So if it wasn't for us, you wouldn't have a beach.
Yeah, totally. My growing up, my sister was danced, and we would go to her dance competitions in Wildwood, and that was my first introduction to it. And I was like, who are these people that live here?
Yeah. I mean, and that's the thing. It's like we all give each other shit, but I've been in Oregon 34 years, but those roots, they go deep. Same with originally I'm from Minnesota. So it's I've got this very, very conflicted thing about me.
Yeah,
so
those are some different ideologies, man. All over.
Yeah, exactly. I'm a nice asshole. Yeah. All right. So let's get to the task at hand here. So 63% of this year's Super Bowl had 63 featured celebs. And so that's about double what it was 10 years ago. So a cameo now is running what, like 2 to 10 million. So that's on top of production. So you got total campaign costs pushing past 20, 25 million. So let's go to Cantor's research here a little bit. They show the same thing. Strong ideas with great craft drive 3 times the ROI of average work, celebrity or not. So you got all these micro influencer campaigns. They're outperforming celebrity endorsements. And I think the engagement there is like 60%, 60% bump there. So you've worked on both sides of this. And you were creative director on Fresh Prince Reunion at Westbrook. And now you're at Cylinder Studios building a lot of stuff and a philosophy of eliminating that gap between thinking and making. So let's break down what great craft looks like when there's no A-list name to lean on. So I want to start with this. I did mention the Fresh Prince stuff. I mean, that was one of the most recognizable casts in TV. Now at Cylinder, you're building this studio around the idea of like closing that gap between the thinking and making. So having worked both celebrity-driven and craft-first work, what shaped your perspective on when an idea is strong enough to stand entirely on its own?
Yeah, that's a great question. I will say, like at Westbrook too, like that is the business model, right?
Right.
Like Westbrook, like while Will Smith is a celebrity, like he is the brand. You know, Will Smith was the brand. Like everything that we developed and we produced was keeping in mind, like, is this idea meaningful and right for the Will Smith brand?
Mm-hmm.
And is it meaningful and right for his audience, you know? And I think that like really taught me something about, you know, celebrity and craft, that like celebrity doesn't replace craft, it like amplifies it.
Right.
But the foundation has to already be solid. So like what we like to do at Cylinder Studios, what I like echo to my team is taking that lesson and like turning it into a rule, you know, like if the idea simply, right? Like if the idea doesn't work in the room and there with no money and no talent and no polish, then it's not ready. And I think just coming back to like bringing thinking and making closer together, like I feel like in this business, weak ideas survive so much longer than they should.
Yeah.
Because thinking and making is so far apart. So when we bring it together, it's like the idea collides with like reality quickly. And then those strong ideas get protected. So
Right.
like that's the mission, is to get the ideas in the back of the deck to the front.
Yeah.
And make the best work possible.
And we'll probably touch more on this, but you know, I think that when I look at some of the things that have been built over, like, and I'm not trying to be nostalgic on all this.
Yeah,
You know, it's because it's just, you know, there's good, bad, and ugly in all these different places. But being able to develop characters or even mascots, like the brand mascot is so underutilized, or creating one, or here's where I want to go. I mean, we talked about how there was such an uptick in celebrity usage. The cost is through the roof. Now, I can point to, and I'm not just saying this because they're members, and you are members as well. Welcome to the family.
Yeah.
You know, I look at like Uber Eats. Excellent, great concepts, right? And not only the Super Bowl. I mean, the Brian Cox stuff. That's good. Yeah. I mean, so here's what I want to get at, though, is, you know, there's plenty of mediocre. So what's driving the industry towards more celebrity spend when we have this data? I mentioned Cantor. It's pointing us in a different direction. Like, what's going on with all this? Why still spend that much?
Yeah, I feel like, if I could speak blunt, like I feel like
we're both Italian.
Yeah, we're both Italian. I can't help it. I just feel like creative fear and career fear have like become one. And celebrity is like a form of insurance. You know, it's like when stakes are high, people like can default to like a recognizable face because they can defend it like in a conference room to your boss, you know?
Right.
And so if it underperforms, no one really gets their like hand slapped because they hired a famous person.
Right.
But you know, a bold idea without a safety net like feels riskier, but the data says it's smarter. So like I just think what's getting lost is that celebrity, like bringing a celebrity in doesn't like reduce the risk. It just shifts it and like misdirects it into a different place. Like, and I feel like these people, you know, this business is just betting massive budget on massive budgets, huge fucking budgets on attention. And I feel like attention without a point of view just like evaporates fast, you know, like instant gratification. In this culture, like people want instant gratification, then they move on. And to me, like just being memorable is just such a valuable currency.
Yeah. Before we move on to the next question, what's your favorite pasta? I mean, I'm kind of a classic, like little ravioli.
Yeah, a little ravioli, nice. I like a lasagna too. I feel like a lost art. It's like
it is.
Bring back radio, bring back a lasagna.
My wife makes like legit. Yeah. So she's Norwegian, and she makes a far better lasagna than I do. I'm good at gnocchi, but lasagna, she smashes everybody.
Hey, man.
She's got this like white sauce. Oh, so good.
I'm hungry. Just talk. I'm like, my mouth is watering.
All right, we'll talk about other Italian things here in a second. So you've said you don't need $1 billion on an A-list celeb. You just need a memorable idea. So let's talk about an indie agency pitching against a shop that's bringing celebrity access and these massive production budgets to the table. How do you make the craft first case to a CMO who's under pressure from their board to play it safe? And I think it goes back to what you just said. It's diffusing the risk a little bit with a celebrity. So what advice would you give to an indie that's in that position?
Yeah, and I think that's a really good question. I feel like let me just set the table too. Like I'm not anti-celebrity. Like
no, we're not. No, not at all.
But I think that's a good question because like what I would challenge, you know, this business is like to reframe what safe actually means. Like how do you define safe? What does that mean? And for me, safe isn't copying what's worked last year. Like safe is making something people will remember, like after the game, after the scroll, after the media spend ends. So like what I've told CMOs is that a celebrity can definitely guarantee awareness. Like there's no doubt about it. That's for sure. But not impact. And I think craft earns recall. It earns conversation and it earns long-term brand equity, you know? And I think what smaller and more modern shops can do to win is by showing work working, you know, like not mood boards or promises. It's like, I think like being iterative is what they do really well. Like the work doesn't stop when it's live. Like what did you learn from it? How is it resonating? And then apply that moving forward. There's a mentor of mine and a friend, his name's Larry Lack. He's over at Meta, but we worked together for a long time. And he's always saying like, there's not a best practice to what's never been done before. And I really love that. And I kind of bring that mentality and point of view into what I do every day, and specifically around production, where I think a lot of people talk about like best practices, but I like to ask like, well, what have you tried so far? You know,
the best practice is one that doesn't exist yet.
Exactly. Yes.
There you go. There's my thought leadership for the day. All right. Good night, everybody. No, no, it's very true. And we're going to talk about the CMO side. So flipping that a little bit. Please. But since we are doing these Italian interstitials, what is your which Italian celebrity? And you have to take out. You can't use Bob De Niro. You can't use like the big uns, right? Which Italian celebrity would you want to hang out with? Not only, you know, not hire, but just like hang out with.
I think Sebastian Maniscalco would be up there.
Lorraine Bracco.
Yeah. He's that's
Lorraine,
yours.
Yeah, Lorraine Bracco.
That's pretty good.
Forget it, right?
Yeah, I know. That would be a nice dinner party.
Oh, that would be fantastic.
The four of us get together.
Yeah, so on your side. So like the four of us are having dinner. What's first of all, everyone's going to give me grief because I've got a German last name.
Oh.
So that's the first 20 minutes?
Yeah, exactly. Hello and goodbye to start. That's what I always say. Yeah.
Okay, no, I think that's solid. All right, let's get back to work here. CMOs, they're reviewing creative concepts side by side. What should CMOs be looking for that tells them an idea is strong enough to carry itself versus when the celebrity casting is doing the heavy lifting for a concept that may or may not work without a famous face?
Yeah, I think you can ask one question. Like, I don't know. I feel like when it comes to talent with these spots, like there are either celebrities or strangers. Like, so I think you can ask yourself a question like, would this still be interesting if the celebrity was replaced by a stranger? And if the answer is no, then it's like the idea is just like decoration, and I believe that strong ideas create like meaning first, and then the cast sharpens it. So, and again, my whole point is I just feel like weak ideas sometimes try to use a famous person to like substitute a point of view. And I think stronger ideas can get made without that kind of safety net.
Right.
And then another tell, obviously, of like, if you're pitching and the first sentence of the pitch is like a celebrity's name,
right,
an idea, like you're already moving backwards.
Okay. No, and I think that's a great point, because if they're leading with, okay, this is our celebrity spot without any teeth to it, then no, you're right.
Yeah, exactly.
You want to show us a little work and we'll talk a little bit about it, because like you said, you are not anti-dentite. I mean, sorry, everything's a Seinfeld reference. Yeah. You are not anti-celebrity, but you are very pro making sure everything works extraordinarily well to enhance the brand first and to serve the client. So I want to get into a little bit of the work here that you had kicked over. So walk me through. Yeah.
So all of everything you're going to see was made by Cylinder Studios, and this one in particular was very cool. We partnered with Meta and Oakley for their like wearable sunglasses. Those are actually really cool. And they capture content themselves, as you know. So one thing that I think that was cool that the team did was like how we filled this cast was we really wanted it to be authentic. I mean, like skateboarding culture.
Yeah. Like, oh no, you can't front.
Don't mess with the skateboarding culture. So they worked hard to find to cast it with like centers of influence, which are not influencers. So it's like these are people who are on the ground, like influencing the culture of skateboarding. So that's who we brought in to be in it. We found a place in the Valley that's like iconic for skateboarding. And then we use the actual product to capture content. So there's a lot of mixed media. And then one thing I think that was cool the team did too was they asked these people, like, how would you actually use this? Like,
right.
you not like, hey, here's an idea, like pretend. Like,
right.
How would you actually use these? And it turned into something like super innovative, super cool. Like we watched them kind of do their tricks, use the actual product to like get tips and also like see what they were doing with their footwork and then make the improvements on the next one. And then stylistically, obviously brought in, that punch of LA that we're all familiar with, and then the slick and coolness of the skateboard culture. So
let me ask you real quick. So, you talked about the skepticism around influencers. It's a very real phenomenon right now. Have you been in a position, and I guess where I'm going with this is, again, the advice piece of this. If you are potentially working with an influencer or influencers where you don't feel it's going to be authentic and you're maybe a little bit down the road, how do you identify that? And then how do you shift? So like, okay, maybe we need different influencers, or maybe we need to go this direction. Because I've heard a couple of cases where it's like we got about 70% down the road and realized this person really wasn't the right fit.
Yeah. Well, I mean, I think again, that goes back to like iterative workflows, where it's like the process is fluid. And I also think like what we try to do at Cylinder Studios is avoid those moments by bringing thinking and making closer together.
Right.
I think the cause and effect of that is because an idea was concepted without the actual execution in mind, there are always going to be roadblocks and zigs and zags you're going to have to do to get there. But what I would say is bring your makers to the forefront of the process. Like make sure everyone is in the room at the conception of the idea
and knows what's up.
And avoid that. Yeah.
Yeah, exactly. I love this. Oh my, okay. I love anything in space or on ice.
Especially Joey Jonas. I think that's Joe. Yeah.
Yeah, it is Joe.
Yeah. No, this project, honestly, I know this project made me want to come to Cylinder. I feel like, so I'm like relatively new here.
Yeah.
So I was interviewing, they were telling me about this project and I was like, oh shit, like Cylinder's AI studio is actually doing work and not just talking about it. So again, it was like before my time, but Cylinder made all of the AI components of the piece. And now that like film craft and AI are kind of like settling into one, it's just like amazing to see it all developed within Cylinder's AI studio. And like the work was shaped with AI creators involved from the beginning. Like I just mentioned, they were part of like the scripting also, because we had to develop an architecture that made sure that this was feasible. And what I did like about this too, just speaking on like making sure it's right for the celebrity, this for us was about innovation and like activating a muscle. But the Jonas Brothers really wanted to do this.
I've heard that so many times about them, is that they are, number one, just great to work with. And here's what I'd say too, is that especially in the past 5 to 10 years, celebrities and A-listers are much more sophisticated in how they approach all of this, and they want to be involved. And so they realize that their contribution, they're part of it. It's not, I am going to deem it from high. They ask for feedback a lot of the time. And, totally. And so the Jonas Brothers, I've heard, just like joys to work with.
Yeah. This is now the second time I had the pleasure of working with them, and they were awesome. And it's like, this idea was kind of formed from their desire, right? Like they wanted to poke fun at themselves for doing something like this. And like, I really respect that when
self-awareness is like the biggest, the most underrated like way of doing it. Totally. And I think self-deprecation can be, it's such a double-edged sword. Looking at you, Ryan Reynolds. What? No, I love Ryan Reynolds. I think he's from the Pacific Northwest. We claim him here in Cascadia, the Vancouver thing. All right. So Philadelphia 76ers. I'm a Sixers guy. I'm a Blazers guy first, but we got Joel. Let's talk a little bit about this one.
Yeah. Well, I mean, it is a signature shoe, but I will say, like, if you're going to launch a basketball shoe, it is probably good to have like the NBA MVP do it for you, And
here's the thing, is that like, it's Skechers. And so it's like building the credibility. I'm almost 57 years old. So, the comfort of a Skechers, but comfort vis-a-vis performance, that's a big one.
That it's a big leap to make, truly.
Yeah.
And like specifically in the basketball space, that's like really saturated and with some commanding leads for specific brands.
Yeah.
So it's their first kind of venture into that. So it was a big moment. And what we wanted to do was, because it was Joel, like deeply root the project in Philly, you know, like
Yeah.
we brought that into the craft. So like the music, the gym location is legendary in Philly at the Bach. And, you know, obviously the shoe is named after him. But it was a super fun shoot. I mean, it came with all of the problems that come with shooting with a pro athlete where, like, you know, he's a basketball player. He just wants to be a basketball player.
Yeah.
So we had him for a very short amount of time. And
Yep.
then, you know, Skechers was like, we need a year's worth of campaign assets. So
Yeah, you can do that.
yeah, we had 3 sets rolling.
That's the way to do it, man.
Super fun. And he was actually a pleasure to work with. And it was fun to watch
He's
him see it in real life too.
He's funny.
He's very funny. Like, I was shocked. Yeah, super charming guy.
So funny. Yeah. So funny. And there's my guy. All right. So we're gonna ask a few quick fire questions as we get to the second song here.
Do it.
These are quick fire. So most overrated element of a Super Bowl ad besides celebrity.
Moments designed to be noticed and not remembered.
Great. Best Super Bowl ad that you can think of that had 0 celebrities.
Well, Apple's 1984 when they
that doesn't count. No,
that doesn't count. All right. Well, I think the best one lately was Coinbase's QR code.
Okay, listen.
No celebrity, no dialogue, just the product demo.
Okay, you and I gotta talk. So watch Super Duper Show with Yuri. Go back and watch that, and you'll get some tea.
I love to hear that.
There is some tea. And I was at the Martin Agency when all that went down. Damn. So there is definitely a lot of tea on that one. Craft or concept, which one wins when you can only pick one?
Craft will make it beautiful, but a concept will make it matter.
Look at you, thought leadership.
Hey, there it is.
I love it. I love it. All right, Mikey B joining us. Sorry, that's your new name.
I love it.
It's your turn to do the Italian question. You got it. So we've been doing these.
What is your favorite Italian restaurant in Portland?
My house.
Yeah. Bravo. Yeah.
No, Amelia's out in Beaverton is pretty solid though.
All right, amazing.
Yeah, it's like, you know, southern. We're from Chieti province. We're hill people. So, you know, Abruzzi, Calabria, Bari. You know, we're all southern. Mike, listen, thank you so much for joining us. I'm going to put you backstage for a second.
Thank you.
This has been great. Let's figure out another thing to do. All right.
I look forward to that.
All right. Stay backstage for me for a minute as I wrap this up. All right, everybody. Thank you so much for joining us. A reminder that the summit is coming up in Chicago, April 15th. Get to indieagency.news if you're a member. A little discount. Also, the Top 40 Classic, our work award. We have our jury, and we're going to be announcing it later today. You'll see that on the socials. And we got a lot of other fun stuff. If you would like to learn more, go to indieagency.news. On behalf of everybody at Indie Agency News, I'm Doug Zanger. We'll see you next time. That was good, man.
Yeah. All right. Thank you so much, man.